When Yanceyville, North Carolina released this dove, he never found his way back home. But we're happy he landed in Myrtle Beach. You'll meet him coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce at 1200 North Oak Street in Myrtle Beach. We're focused on community activities, and we're visiting with a dedicated community servant, Vernie Dove. Good morning,
Thank you.
Vernie.
Thank you, Greg. It's always nice to see you.
This is a lobby you're very familiar with.
Very familiar with.
Walking in here year after year. I think it opened in 1994.
Yeah.
I mean, this location did.
I actually had the dedication prayer.
Is that
when
right?
that opened. That was strange how that happened, but I did.
How did that happen?
Well,
they didn't have a...
Gerald Quickle was the president then, and I didn't know Gerald that well, and I didn't think he knew me that well. But they called me, Andy Bach called me.
Right.
Said, Vernie, we got into this discussion which minister was going to have the dedication of the new chamber building, and they couldn't decide. Everybody wanted this one, that one. Finally, we said, Gerald, you're the president of the chamber, chairman of the board. You make a call. He said, well, I want Vernie Dove to do it.
Out of the blue.
Out of the blue. So I did it. And David Beasley's wife came, and she's a wonderful lady.
Oh, yeah. And that was obviously here.
Yeah.
And at the time, you were working across the street. Is that right? Or
yeah, I was over
left?
at the church.
You were still at the
First
church?
Presbyterian Church.
As the church
I don't know.
administrator.
Maybe. I guess I was, yeah.
Or at just about that same time,
About that same time
right.
they made the switch.
Sure.
But I must confess, I've never confessed this before, I had a little help from Bobby Wilkes on that prayer.
Oh, yeah,
So that
bet.
made it a very special prayer.
He'd done a couple of those before.
Yeah, oh, yeah. He knew how to put the mortar in the hands and the people that work inside, so it went really well. And I know Gerald well now, but I don't know why he ever did that.
That's hilarious.
But since you brought it up.
Had you done, I guess you hadn't done a lot of big opening prayers like that.
Yeah.
He must have heard one of them at one time that really impressed him.
It could have. I never thought about that, but it could have.
Yeah. I would say we'd open one with it right now, but the chamber's kind enough to let us in a little early. They got a big Friday, and of course a lot happens on the weekends.
That's right. Fridays is a busy day for the chamber. Always has been. A lot of people in and out. A lot of tourists and people in and out on Fridays.
Well, we have had a tremendous week here all week. We kicked off the week with Larry Bragg here on Monday, the chairman of the Community Appearance Board, and we were able to hear a little bit about community activities with the Community Appearance Board. And then actually Tuesday, Wednesday, and yesterday, Brad Dean, the big cat, the president and CEO, was sitting in that seat for 3 days, which was great having him here. So much stuff going on with the chamber, Vernie.
Well, I liked the 5 years I was here because I got to work under Ashby Ward and Brad. Brad was the CFO, and Ashby, of course, was president and CEO. And it was just a pleasure working for both of them. And they truly fed off each other. They had a lot in common, and I think that's why Brad's been so successful, of course, since Ashby passed away.
Oh, yeah.
Brad never missed a step.
No, he didn't.
He has not, and he's good for the community, and he's good for the state.
They put on an exhaustive search at the same time. As you remember, Dennis Wade and the whole crew, all the committee. I'm not sure if you were there.
No,
Shep was
I was not.
The chairman
they
at the time.
They did, and that ran for almost a year.
Is that right?
They but got right down to it, and when they interviewed Brad, I think everybody knew him well and knew what a good job he would do, and he's proved them right.
Absolutely, Vernie. Speaking of that, I think, of course, you served as the chairman.
Yeah.
Share with folks the difference between, of course, Brad and his
Brad
position.
is president and CEO.
Right.
The board, the best I can remember, used to consist of about 22 or 24 board members.
Right.
And they nominate and elect a chairman of the board.
Okay. Those are all volunteer board members.
Right.
Your position there had been a...
Yeah, well, you're elected to the board also, and I had served, you only served 3 years. But right there at the end of my term, they start wanting me to be nominated as chairman of the board. Well, I've been down here 3 years, and I knew if you chairman, you serve that year, and then you serve another year as
immediate past chair. Yeah,
so that was 5 years.
Wow.
But I'm glad I did it because it was a great experience. We had a good board for those 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
We had some airport issues. We had some other issues, and it was just a good time to be on the board. And my 3 years was wonderful, but my years as chairman of the board and past chairman of the board you just get to know everybody down here.
Oh, yeah.
You know, at the chamber, and they all work hard, and they all got the community at heart.
So. I remember going through Leadership Grand Strand back in 97, 98. At the time, you were very active. It was Ann DeBox last year as the head of Leadership Grand Strand, what Diana Green's doing now. Of course, it was particularly exciting not long after her death, but not long after that. I think you were recognized as the first recipient of the Ann DeBox Leadership Award, which must have been a great honor because you all had a great
we had a great
relationship.
Yeah. I miss her. I think about her often. She was a very special lady. You knew her. Everybody that knew her would say that. I always, I didn't know about that award. I mean, I didn't know they were doing that, and I wasn't even going to be there. And I saw one of the class members. I was coming out of Bellman Law Firm, and he wanted to know if I was going to Dunes Club. And I said, for what? I don't know. I don't think so. And he said, well, you know, he said, we having our leadership banquet and all that stuff.
Right.
I said, I probably won't be there. She said, but anyway, long story short, I went. Peg didn't go because it was such short notice.
Yeah, I had no idea.
And I had no idea, but I told her kids, and got concerned about her age one time after she got in her 60s, you know, got sick. So I told her, she's real concerned about it. Said every time she picked up the obituary, people her age were dying. I said, hey, you don't need to worry about that. I said, add them all up, the ages up, and divide it by the number of people that's in there, and it'll make you feel better. You get a low score. And she did that for a long time. And we laughed about it. And now I think about it, I'm getting to the age, I'm starting to look at the obituaries, so I might need to take my own
advice. You better take your advice.
But that's the kind of person she was.
Yeah.
She was wonderful. And I am very proud of all the awards I've been fortunate enough to receive. That her plaque's in my study at home, and I'm very proud of that. And it's on the wall here at the chamber, you know, the Ann DeBox Foundation. It's right behind me, really, where it's at.
Right.
And I'm very proud of that, of all the awards, of all the things that ever happened to me, knowing her like I did, that class thought enough to do that.
Oh, yeah.
I always appreciate that.
Well, you know, as I said, kicking off the week with Larry Bragg, who must have gotten more of the years, Citizen of the Year, Volunteer of the Year, Realtor of the Year, more awards than I'd ever seen. And then, of course, I'm getting ready for your interview early this morning. I'm seeing Rotarian of the Year in 93, the Sun News Volunteer of the Year in 95, of course, the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber Citizen of the Year in 97, and then that Ann DeBox. So you're not quite a Larry Bragg there, Vernie, but you're close on his heels.
Well, I know Larry. I know who you're talking about.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, he's been around a good little while. Those things amaze you when they happen.
Right.
And I know when we moved here in 87, I was invited to one of the Citizens of the Year bank. A good friend of mine, Tim Duncan.
Right.
And I thought it's just amazing the people that receive that award, what they've done in the past, and they've been. And it looked like when I received the award, I hadn't been here that long, you know, but. That has been a highlight of my 20 years in Myrtle Beach.
Absolutely, it's got to be.
That was a wonderful thing. And then the chamber, you know, I'm always, Greg, as you know, a lot of young people move to town, attorneys and CPAs and real estate people. And a lot of times in the course of a week, somebody's going to want to know how they can get involved in the community. They want to do that. And I always think about the Heart Association.
Sure.
And Tammy called me one day, and I said, well, look, I just got too much going on. I can't serve. That's about the first of me kind of getting out of some stuff. But I'll send you 3 good board members. And I did.
Yes.
And she always thanked me. Kim was one of them.
Kim Gore was one of them. That's exactly. Well, you still attended some meetings.
Yeah, but I'm an honorary, and she wanted to know if she could use my name. I said, yeah.
Absolutely.
And I was a little bit troubleshooter for her. If she had a problem, you know, I would help her get it solved. And that was my deal with with the Heart
Association. With the American Heart Association.
Yeah,
it's a tremendous organization. Of course, so much has to happen here. Yeah. Jack Monroe was with us recently promoting the Horseback Ride-a-thon, which is now in its 26th year, named after him.
He and his wife do it
and Margot
year.
are Cracker Jack and all the dedicated volunteers that are out there.
And the crowd they get at that thing.
Incredible, They'll have almost 1,000 or more than 1,000 horses out there from 26 plus states and parts of Canada that come in. It's a big deal.
Jack plans that from year to year. When that thing ends, he starts all over again.
Oh, well, all those volunteers, the folks Leon Todd and Herman Holmes and, of course, Elizabeth Barnett, folks that have been doing it year after year. I hate to even start naming names, as you know, Vernie. You get in trouble leaving some names off. Renee Wickstrom had been very active helping out the ride-a-thon.
Well, there's so many good things, like the Miracle League.
Right, the Miracle League,
That is amazing the way that field came about.
The James C. Benton field,
and the people that, Raymond Childs, our good friend, is deceased now. Raymond was very active in that. Lance and Margie Thompson to this day
remain very active. Tori Mackey, who's there, their executive director there, following in Stephanie's tremendous footsteps, has really done a crackerjack job. That's a great organization.
It's a lot of great organizations around town.
Of course, Kids Voting, another one that you helped kick off, Elizabeth Teal and others. Share with viewers real quick about the inception of Kids Voting.
Well, it started back, I can't even remember how many years, when Mike Pate, you remember Mike Pate at the Sun News?
The former publisher of the Sun News.
A little before when Mike called, he wanted to have lunch. One or two things going to happen. He wanted you to do something, or he wanted money for something. So we met at the Dunes Club, and he explained Kids Voting to me. It was a thing that Knight Ridder put money into. And it was where kids go to the polls with their parents and vote. I think most people know about that now.
Absolutely.
And they had their own voting booths and ballots. But it was all new. It was all shiny new. And I listened because I thought he was just explaining it to me. And he said he needed somebody to take it. He couldn't do it. Wanted to bring it here, get it started, hire the director, raise $50,000. And that was in an election year.
Is that right?
Yeah. And I said, well, good. I'll help you find somebody. I think we might can find. He said, no. We want you to do it.
Oh, come on.
And that was a challenge. And it was during an election year. We had, at the time, they had 98 precincts in the county. And we had to have 4 volunteers for each precinct. And we had to get all those voting booths out, those cardboard voting booths. You've seen them. And the ballots and all that stuff. And had to train the teachers and had to get ballots. You'd have seen. We did it.
You took it on there.
I took it on there. But I put some of my best friends on there, like Debbie Randolph and Rebecca Hines and Orby Ferguson.
Sure.
I'll leave somebody off here in a minute, so I won't go through the whole thing.
You had a good group from church
but it had,
there.
good folks. And we got it done, and we didn't have but 9 members. Wow. And that's what I liked. We had 9 members, and I broke the tie if there was ever a tie. And after about 3 years, I kind of turned it all over. But in the meantime, early on, I hired Elizabeth Teal as executive director.
Superstar.
And she was the only, superstar is right. And she took that thing to another level. And she did a great job. But once I got out of it, I still go back. I still help if they need me and all this and that. I noticed a change. I've always been a firm believer, the smaller the board, the more you get done. You just get in, get out, and get enough good ideas. The board has grown. It's a big board now. And that's good, too, because they touch a lot of people and get more volunteers, I guess. But I like smaller boards.
Tight, less than 10,
that's
right. Like a lot of bank boards.
Yeah, a lot of bank boards. They don't have big boards.
10,
And